Any petition? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in my name on the 2023 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023 SB 317. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, 2023 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 317, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, 2023 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 317, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in my name on the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 318. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 318, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 318, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Mpigi Barinada on the Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 303. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 303, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 303, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Izu Nassor Osita on the Agricultural Research Council Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 314. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Agricultural Research Council Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 314, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Agricultural Research Council Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 314, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ndubueze Patrick Chiuba on the Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 315. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 315, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2023, SB 315, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I stand at this point to make a motion that rather than take the first order, that the third order of the day that will commence with the third order of the day as the first order of the day, which is, sorry, sir. Mr. President, as the first order, which is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population. No, Mr. President, it has to do with the judiciary. Well, Mr. Yeah? Page 9, thank you. Yes, Mr. President, I move that we commence with the third order of the day, now as the first order, which is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and National and Legal Matters. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we take the third order of the day as the first order of the day to consider the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do take the third order of the day as the first order and receive the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Chairman.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters on the screening of the nominations of 11 justices as listed on the order paper for appointment as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished senators will recall that the request from Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee yesterday, Wednesday, 20th December 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mohammed Tahir Mongono, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Mongono.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohammed Tahir Mongono. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. I hereby move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters on the confirmation of the nomination of the following 11 justices for appointment as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in accordance. Okay, I thought.
You have to lay the report.
Mr. President, that is exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to move the motion so that I can then discuss the report. Yes. So I so move.
Yeah, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Ned Nwoko. I represent the good people of Delta North. I second the motion ably moved by the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Mongonu. I so second. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded by the chairman, Human Rights, Legal Matters, that the report of Mr. President's nominees earlier referred to the committee be presented. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may proceed to lay your report. Distinguished Senator Mongunu, you may summarize your report.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I am Mohamed Tahir Manguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. This is the report of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the confirmation of nomination of 11 Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Preamble. The Senate in its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 20th December 2023, deliberated on the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for the confirmation of nomination of the underlisted Honorable Justices designate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and referred same to the Senate Committee on Human Rights, Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for legislative action. The nominees are Honorable Justice Jumwei Hanatu Sanki, Honorable Justice Unwana Uwa, Honorable Justice Chioma Nwosu Iheme, Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Samani, Honorable Justice Mo Abraham Adumein, Honorable Justice Obande Pestus Ogbuya, Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada, Honorable Justice Habib Adewelai Abiru, Honorable Justice Jamilu Y. Tukur, Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar, and Honorable Justice Mohamed Baba Idris. The appointments were made pursuant to Section 231, subsection 2 and 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, which requires that the appointment of a person to the office of Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria shall be made by the President on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, subject to confirmation of such nomination by the Senate. After the referral, the committee requested for and received the curriculum vitae and other supporting documents of the nominees and invited them to appear before it for screening exercise. On Wednesday, 20 December 2023, the nominees appeared before the committee. The committee examined their curriculum vitae and other supporting documents and thereafter screened them. The committee interviewed the nominees and received explanations regarding their qualification, experience, suitability, exposure, competence, and integrity to assume the positions of justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The nominees were screened in the following order. So I don't need to go through the order you have. Is their CVs, their curriculum vitae and what have you. So I will proceed straight to page 8. Page 8 of the document. Yes. Page 8, which is the response to questions, then findings, and then I will go to finally the recommendations. In response to questions put forward by the committee, the nominees individually and collectively demonstrated sufficient knowledge and firm grasp of the law and other topical, contemporary, and jurisprudential issues. Findings. The committee, after the screening exercise, deliberated on the nominees' suitability for appointments as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and hereby make the following findings. That the appointment of the nominees satisfy the requirements of the provisions of Section 231, subsection 2, and subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. That there is no criminal record or adverse report found against the nominees, as record checks and other forms of investigation by relevant security agencies did not reveal any negative trace against them. That there is no petition against the appointments of the nominees. That the nominees possess the requisite leadership qualities required of judicial officers to exercise restraint and uphold the dignity of the court and the litigants in the discharge of their official functions. That the nominees are fit and proper persons for appointment as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. General observations. For the avoidance of doubt, we wish to observe that these appointments satisfy the constitutional provision of Section 231, subsection 3, which stipulates a minimum of 15 years post-call experience to qualify for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. It should be noted that these appointments became necessary following the retirements and unfortunate demise of some justices from the geopolitical zones from which these current appointments were made. By virtue of paragraph 13A and 1, third schedule to the Constitution of Federal Judicial Service of the Constitution, the Federal Judicial Service Commission is empowered to advise the National Judicial Council in nominating persons for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Currently, the composition of the Supreme Court of Nigeria as per geopolitical zone is as follows. It's as stated in the report. Let me go straight to the recommendation. That is 6-0. The Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, after careful scrutiny of the curriculum vitae and other accompanying documents of the nominees, and having satisfied about their exposure, experience, comportment, performance, qualification, and integrity, recommends that the Senate do confirm the nominations of Honorable Justice Jummai Hanatu Sanki, 1, 2, Honorable Justice Chidebere Nwama Ua, 3, Honorable Justice Choma Igondu Inwosu Iheme, 4, Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Samani, 5, Honorable Justice Mo Asemin Abraham Adumain, 6, Honorable Justice Obande Pestus Oguneya, 7, Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada, 8, Honorable Justice Habib Adewele Olumuyiwa Abiru, and 9, Honorable Justice Jamil Y. Tukur, 10, Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar, the last and not the least, Honorable Justice Mohammed Idris, for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Binus.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Binus Yaro. I rise to second the motion and prayers for the confirmation of the nominated justices for the Supreme Court. They are all eminently qualified for these appointments, and I so support their nomination. But, Mr. President, in doing so, I would like to just note that the intendment of the Constitution does not limit the appointment of Supreme Court justices to the Court of Appeal. And we have seen that all these justices that are being recommended for appointment to the Supreme Court are all Court of Appeal. We have scholars, eminent scholars. We have eminent practitioners of the law that are also qualified for appointment. If we just take the example of late Justice Nick Itobi, who was at one time the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Law in University of Maiduguri. You know, he was appointed from the university straight to Supreme Court, and his contribution to the legal practice in this country is immense. So the point I'm trying to make is that in making these appointments, we shouldn't limit our nominations from the Court of Appeal only. I so submit. Thank you.
The Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Barrow Jibrankano North. Mr. President, permit me to commend the committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters for a job well done. The screening of the nominees was referred to them just yesterday, but they had to work around the clock to make sure they conclude the screening in this record time. You are really, you've done well, and we commend you for doing a job well done. Mr. President, not only that, they've been able to do a proper job screening, went deeply to find out whether they have the required pedigree to perform their functions as Supreme Court justices. And in line with what they've done, their findings have shown nothing negative in respect of these nominees. In fact, what turns out their findings was were all positive, in favor of the nominees. The general observation as well turns out to be very, very good in respect of these nominees. Everything. I therefore request that my colleagues, without much ado, give our approval to these for the confirmation of this committee nominees, because everything that has been done here have shown that these people are properly put in place. They are well qualified. They do not have any negative thing to be attached to each and every one of them. Therefore, I request all of you to give your notes so that they can be confirmed. I so submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Lalong.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I thank you for the privilege that I'm doing my first presentation at this presentation as a lawyer. Sir, first, let me also commend the committee for doing a thorough job. And let me appreciate Mr. President for this presentation at these timely hours. The crop of the the justices that have been presented here are, I will say, part of the best in Nigeria. For legal practitioners, if you read their judgments, you know what I'm talking about. But of particular note, Mr. President, let me thank the Senate. I know they will approve. For the first time, we have a Supreme Court justice from Plateau State. Justice Sankey is from Plateau. This is the first time that we are celebrating a Supreme Court justice too in Nigeria. So for this alone, even for the sympathy for people of Plateau State, I think this presentation, these people should be given accelerated confirmation. So I use the opportunity once again to thank, because the people, my good people of Plateau, I said that I should also extend through Mr. President of the Senate our commendation and appreciation to Mr. President for this wonderful presentation, and also for bringing in another set of very credible judges to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. I thank you for this privilege, Mr. President.
Dismissed Senator Shibole.
Mr. President, I want to thank you for encouraging members of my committee vertically to speak on this matter. I join Senator Lalong and the chairman of the committee of the judiciary for a good job, and I do appreciate that they had to put in extra hours given the limited time that they have. Mr. President, all the comments so far agree that these people nominated are competent and qualified to be elevated to the Supreme Court. The only comment I have heard from the gentleman who spoke about the academia belong to the realm of the future, whether this is desirable in the future or not. What is before us, for me, is only one question. Is there any of these justices who, in the opinion of any of us, is not a fit and proper person to be elevated to the Supreme Court of the land? The committee report says all of them are competent, and they have given their reason. I endorse in total, and I urge my colleagues to support and endorse the report of the committee without any amendment. And I commend your strategy, Mr. President, in ensuring that we have a quality review by referring this matter to a subcommittee. At that level, they are able to do more justice than is otherwise possible in a larger gathering. Mr. President, I so support and I commend the Committee on the Judiciary. Thank you, sir.
Senator Ahmed Lawan.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Ahmed Lawan. I represent Yobe North Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me join my colleagues who spoke previously to commend the Committee on Judiciary and Human Rights. Definitely, they have worked so hard to make it possible for us to consider this report this morning. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my remarks will be on a little bit of the quality of the people we have screened and about to confirm, because so much has been said about them. Mine is particularly to call the attention of the legislature, the National Assembly particularly, and the executive arm of government, that our judiciary, like our legislature, needs more and more resources. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, those of us who have interacted with our judiciary at this federal level, we know how hard it is for them to do their work. and discharge their mandates. The time has come, Mr. President, for both the legislature and the executive arms to give the judiciary a worthwhile financial attention. We should give them more resources because they can do better. It's not enough to increase the number of justices. Yes, that will reduce some burden, but the burden will be less, far less actually, if they have more resources to work with. I believe it's the same thing with the legislature. Even the people who have no contact with the legislature, National Assembly particularly, they will tell you there is so much resources, so much money in the National Assembly. Where is it? There is nothing. With a budget of 139, 140 billion annual budget, in a budget of 19 trillion, how can someone tell me that the National Assembly has so much resources? But I'm not speaking particularly for National Assembly today. I'm speaking for the judiciary, Mr. President. And I know that we can do something. Let's try it from this budget. Let's give them more resources so that we can hold them responsible if they don't perform. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the privilege.
Distinguished Senate President Emeritus, I can't but agree with you that with more resources going to the judiciary, it will assist them to modernize their method and also assist their work. But still, I want to commend the President for even nominating this number of appointees into the Supreme Court for the first time. And so let's hear from distinguished Senator Yari. After that, distinguished Senator Wamako. Yes. You are Senator Ome and Senator Dixon.
Thank you very much, Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by commending the Committee on Judiciary and Other Legal Matters in the Senate for doing past and thorough job. Mr. President, when I came, I had the comment of Deputy Senate President, and I think the gentlemen of the judiciary that follow ranks from some of them magistrate to higher court to court of appeal, now to Supreme Court. And as we discussed yesterday, Mr. President, in the executive session, that most of, or almost all of them, they go under one scrutiny to another, from DSS betting, presidential betting, and the other judiciary process. Mr. President, looking at what the Committee of Judiciary has done, our policy with the distinguished Senator Barrow Jibril to my colleagues to approve the work done and pass the confirmation of the Supreme Court justices. Considering, yes, we have done what we are supposed to do, and we're at the verge of every one of us, or almost all, getting closer to compile or final submission of our respective report as chairman and other submission so that we can give colleagues opportunity to go and tidy up. Some of us may be here till tomorrow, and some of us immediately after the session may be getting our preparation for our vacation for Christmas happily, as we agreed yesterday that coming back on the 29th. So, Mr. President, I'm pleading my colleagues and you to, maybe it's allowed to even put the question to go ahead on confirmation of this important, what is before us. Maybe I can, if I'm protected, I can go ahead to do so. If guest content, then it's easy for the president to rule and heed his government so that we can move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
President is, if president protected me, can I go ahead? No, it's only president that will say that so that I can know.
No, I actually think that for some of us that are not members of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Public Petitions, is important that you air your view. It's very important because these are people that once you clear them, you hardly see them again. So, distinguished Senator Yari, thank you so much, and distinguished Senator Wamako.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, let me start by joining my colleagues in commending the committee for a very thorough and a job well done. Mr. President, it is to our knowledge that almost 2 years ago to date, there are complaints all over the country that the Supreme Court of Nigeria is operating below capacity there because they are the depletion of justice in that appeals court. Against the numerous appeals that are lying there for several years, even some for decades now. So what happened in the last few days is a giant stride by the federal government, by Mr. President, and by all of us here to make sure justice is not only done, but seen to be done as the lawyers normally refer the court to be. Mr. President, the nominees, 11 in number, which is more than half of the capacity of the Supreme Court, cannot come at a better time than now. And Mr. President, these nominees, there are people who operated all over the country, serving different divisions of the Court of Appeal, to the extent that I think it is commendable that nobody, even including the media, wrote anything about them in the last couple of weeks when their names have been mentioned. Because these names have been circulating for the past 1 month or more, and yet any advance comment on any of them. So it's only fair that, Mr. President, that these nominees be confirmed. And I so second, Mr. President. Thank you and God bless.
Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand up to contribute to this report. Mr. President, first of all, I want to say that I'm very happy with this exercise my commendation was first of all go to the National Judicial Council, chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. These nominations, when the vacancies existed, everybody had interest in it, because it is only important that we have judicial officers who will serve the cause of justice in this country. The NJC has done a great job by sieving from the array of qualified justices, by sieving out these 11 noble justices of the Court of Appeal for elevation to the Supreme Court. We're in Nigeria, we have been here, and we have been following a lot of events, both in the judiciary. I can attest to the fact that the NJC put forward very credible, noble justices of the Court of Appeal. And also to thank the President for putting them forward. But if the President hadn't brought them here, we will not have the benefit of having these people to be confirmed by the Committee on Judiciary after screening and presented to us. My happiness is also drawn from page 9. Page 9 of this report. If you look at the distribution of the 21 justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria as presently constituted, Mr. President, you will immediately see that great job was done in balancing nominations across the 6 geopolitical zones. There is no zone in Nigeria who will say they don't have somebody who is credible at the apex court. Every zone had minimum of 3 justices at the Supreme Court now. Only 3 have one additional. So we have federal character firmly observed in these nominations. Not only that, the names that were put forward are names we have been reading their judgments. Those who have been used to litigations will know that quality judgments are priceless. And these noble justices of the court that have been brought here are known to be people who have written landmark judgments. Landmark judgments. So I'm very happy today that people who deserve this elevation were the people who were put forward. Nobody can contest their integrity. From the report, no petitions. Not only that there were no petitions, those of us who have been reading judgments delivered by these noble justices can tell you that we are in for a good deal in the judiciary. So I join my colleagues in saying that for the fact that the federal character is observed, and for the fact that the justices so put forward are noble justices of integrity and good character, we should go ahead and confirm them without any reservation. I so support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Hearing from you that the Southeast is not marginalized, I'm very... This is Senator Dixon. Can you confirm South-South?
I will confirm. Mr. President and my dear colleagues, Henry Sedeke Dixon, Bayelsa West. First, Mr. President, I rise to second and contribute to the debate to the fact that this Senate should confirm Mr. President's 11 Supreme Court nominees who have gone through the entire meal from security screening up to screening by the statutory agencies, the NJC, capping it all, and also the advisory committee, the Federal Judicial Council, and all of them have done their job. And yesterday, this matter was referred to the Committee on Justice, where, incidentally, I'm a member. Mr. President, I rise also to, on behalf of the senators from Bayelsa, thank the President for the nomination of a justice from the great state of Bayelsa, representing the South-South zone, in the person of the Honorable Justice Seymour Abraham Adume, Justice of the Court of Appeal, now nominated to represent the South-South zone on the bench of the Supreme Court. I want to thank the President for this, and we congratulate not only him, but all the other nominees. Justice Adume is very well known as a very competent, trusted, and reliable justice who has done his best and will continue to do his best. And Mr. President, even for those who may not have personal knowledge of the other nominees, there's nobody here who may not have heard or may not have read about their judgments and the work they have continued to do. A number of them have completely, in fact all of them, have completely dedicated their lives to the administration of justice. Some of them from magistracy, spanning over some 20-something years, 30-something years, in the business of adjudication and administration of justice. So we congratulate all of them. The only point I would like to make before I sit, Mr. President, is to support the motion, support the sentiment expressed by the Senate President Emeritus when he raised the issue of the need to draw attention to all of us here in the legislature and the executive to work together to address the challenges facing the judiciary. For so long, so much lip service has been paid to the problems and challenges of the judiciary. Happily, in this 10th Senate, in the course of the retreat and other activities, under your leadership, you have made some proclamations which are very heartwarming. That is to say, committing the Senate and the National Assembly, of which you are chairman, to a broad and comprehensive justice sector reform. And even at the committee level, under the able chairmanship of my dear brother and colleague M.T. Monguno, very experienced parliamentarian, and also Attorney General, my colleague as Attorney General, he is also working very hard, and the whole committee behind him, to work with the Attorney General and all other stakeholders, the bar, with your active support to move for a broad justice sector reform. And also, subsequently, a broad police and law enforcement and criminal justice reform, so that we can now address and create a general conducive working environment for the judiciary. The conditions are quite pitiable. I don't want us to go into all those details, but it needs to be reformed. So I want to support that the nominees be screened so that they can assume their duties. But before I sit, one point was made, which Mr. President and my colleagues need to know. The leader of the Senate, who is also a member of that committee, raised a very vital point. And this Senate should note it and should also perhaps pass it to the executive, which is appointing authority. That here we are screening 11 justices for the Supreme Court at the same time. Very commendable act the President has done. But we shouldn't be doing this at this time. For so long, these vacancies have existed. They could have been filled long before now. We had a situation where areas in this country were left without representation, leading to discussions and accusations about perceived marginalization. Even the perception of it was not good, especially representation at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court being the ultimate court in this country and structured in a way that has representation from all parts of this country is important, Mr. President. While looking at this nomination, that we should also pass that message that anytime these vacancies occur, they should be filled promptly. There are fitting, very qualified people from all parts of this country to fill those vacancies, either at the Federal High Court, at the Court of Appeal, or especially at the Supreme Court, anytime those vacancies arise. I thought, Mr. President, that we should draw that attention as a matter of general concern to the appointing authorities at this time that we are discussing this, and finally commit this Senate and the National Assembly under your chairmanship to a broad and comprehensive justice sector reform that can address conditions of service, can address delay in the justice delivery system, so that will not be a laughing stock before the world. Thank you very much.
Well, the points you have made are noted, and I think that point must have been why the current president decided to take a holistic decision to ensure that we beefed up the number of justices of the Supreme Court, because justice denied or justice delayed is justice denied. Let me hear from the Distinguished Senator Ojus Okalo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I think first of all, I want to thank the Senate in taking the decision yesterday to screen our 11 justices off camera. Yes. Because the questions members and people might want to ask might be not really good for our national television. I thank Mr. President and the Senate for taking it to Committee of the Judiciary, because it was live yesterday and it wasn't going to be really good. But I want to join Senator Ahmed Lawan in begging the Senate to look at the budget of the judiciary, not only in the Supreme Court or Court of Appeal, even the magistrates, the state courts, they're in a mess. When you go to see a judge of a state court, you will think that he's coming with Okada. He's living in the midst of the people he's supposed to judge. And these things are not the way they were before. Most of you who were governors and all the rest of them, we did better in providing accommodations for these people where they will live, quarters and all the rest of them, cars to go to work. So I plead with my colleagues in the Senate, let us look at the budget of the federal judiciary, especially also in the Court of Appeal and industrial courts, all the courts. When you have relations in these courts, you will find out that they are not even coping up with life. So how can they give good justice in the open court of law? It's going to be really difficult, Mr. President. And also, it is not right to leave justice of Supreme Court for so long. I'm adding my voice to former Governor Bayelsa, that you will live like Southeast. We are left for almost 7 years without a judge in the Supreme Court, entire Southeast. Not only one, I mean, there were vacancies, but to key to this vacancy was a problem. So, Mr. President, I want to thank the President of Federal Republic, and also thank you for the speedy passage that we are going to be doing to this afternoon. Thank you. So they can go back and face their work. There are a lot of cases coming from states, in the 36 states. The Court of Appeal is truly short of their members now, as of today. So I think if my colleagues quickly do this, and Mr. President will relay to me, President of the Republic, we will be able to have justice of Supreme Court by Monday morning. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you.
Having made that last contribution, you have captured almost everything. First, that there is need for more funding, and secondly, that you commend Mr. President for the speedy decision, and thirdly, you also pointed out that with their exit, there is a vacancy in the Court of Appeal, and it will be good for those vacancies to be filled on time, so we can have speedy delivery of justice in the system. And also, the only one I don't agree is the one that you said that for 7 years there was no justice of the Supreme Court in the Southeast. But I thought Mrs. Odili was representing Southeast. Anyway, that having said that, Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Wish to move that we resolve into Committee of the Whole to continue business.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, these issues having been so thoroughly debated, I stand to move that the Senate revert to Committee of the Whole to continue with the confirmation hearing. Thank you, Mr. President. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Point of order. I can call at any time. Am I recognized, Mr. President?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do revert to the Committee of the Whole to continue the confirmation hearing. I so second.
I've noted a point of order from the distinguished Senator Warada. Immediately we conclude with this, please, we'll give you the opportunity. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to conclude the confirmation hearings. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, having concluded deliberations on the report presented by the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Public Petitions, I will put the question. Would the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Jumai Anatu Zangi, OFR, for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Zamani for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Justice Jamilu Yamama Tuko for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Justice Abubakar Sadiq Omar for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Chidiebere Nwaoma Owa for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Chioma Egondu Nwosu Iheme for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Obande Festus Obuya for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Mo Asimo Adume for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Justice Habib Adewale Abiri? I'm sure it's Abiru. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Abiru for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished senators, I move that the Senate revert to plenary to enable the chairman to report progress. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that Mr. President, sitting as chair, reverts to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do revert to the committee, to the plenary for the chair to report progress. Those in support that we revert to the plenary to report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We now revert back to plenary. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters on the screening of Mr. President nominees for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and approved the nominations of the following: Honorable Justice Jumai Hanatu Sange, Honorable Justice Chidiebere Nwaoma Owa, Honorable Justice Chioma Egondu Nwosu Iheme, Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Zamani, Honorable Justice Mo Asemo Abraham Adume, Honorable Justice Obande Festus Obuniya, Honorable Justice Jamilu Tuko, Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Olumiwa Abiru. Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada. Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar. Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris as justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Yes. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Jumai Hanatu Sange? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Jumai Hanatu Sange as amended? Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Jumai Hanatu Sange for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Jumai Hanatu Sange is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Stephen Jonah Ada is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Zamani for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Haruna Simon Zamani is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Jamilu Jama Tuko as for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Jamilu Yama Tuko is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve? The Senate has approved. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Chidi Ebere Nwaoma Uwa for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Chidi Ebere Nwaoma Uwa is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Chioma Egondu Nwosuiheme for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Chioma Egondu Nwosuiheme is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate confirmed the nomination of Honorable Justice Obande Festus Obuniya for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Justice Obande Festus Obuniya is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Mao Asimo Adumain for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Mao Asimo Adumain is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Abiru I take that again. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the appointment of Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Abiru for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Justice Habib Adewale Abiru is hereby confirmed as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Let me congratulate all the nominees hereby confirmed by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as Justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and pray that God will give them the wisdom, the enablement, the strength of character, and the will to carry out justice in our dear country. And I must also commend Mr. President for the appointment across states, irrespective of political leanings. So I know when my brother, Senator Dixon, was speaking, he made mention of the fact that Bayelsa is represented in this list to represent the South-South region of Nigeria. So for this, we are very grateful to Mr. President. I'm sure other regions are equally very grateful to Mr. President. We pray that these confirmations will lead to speedy dispensation of justice, particularly at that echelon of the courts. where a lot of cabotage cases are still pending since 2006. 2006, not 2016. It is now left to us and the House of Representatives to look at the possibility of how to stop certain matters from going to the Supreme Court. Because some of the things that go to the Supreme Court are distractions. Interlocutory applications should stop somewhere, but that will be left to the public hearing when we commence our amendment of the Electoral Act and amendment of the Nigerian Constitution. I also want to commend our brother, distinguished Senator Mangunu, and all members of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters for the speedy way they have scrutinized and screened all the papers they received from the SSS, from the DMI, from the presidency, and their resumes to be able to arrive at this speedy conclusion today. So, distinguished Senator Mangunu, you can take a bow. Thank you. Thank you, and well done. Yes, Senator Wadada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkin Yakin Kefi. I represent Nasarawa West Senatorial District of Nasarawa State, Mr. President. I come on orders 41 and 42. Though 41 must have been taken over by events because when I first called for order, I didn't enjoy the privilege of the President of the Senate at that time to be recognized. Now that you have recognized me, I don't know, based on the sensitivity of the motion or the issue I have, I don't know if I could still come under both orders. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am coming under these orders to move a motion that has got to do with the trading in kidney and illegal transplant that takes place in my constituency. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate notes that Mararaba
distinguished Senator Wadada, I would think that the matter is definitely urgent and should be taken on the next legislative date. But it's up to you. Request the permission of the Senate to take on the next legislative date.
Distinguished colleagues, if it is the choice of the President and my colleagues, I seek your understanding to move this motion on the next legislative day. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Wadada had earlier pointed to me the illegal trade going on in terms of organ sale and trading in his state, and I think it's something that may be happening in other states of the Federation. So it's important that we take it and resolve it. So is it the view of the Senate that he be taken on the next legislative date? Those in support of that say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it, so you take it on the next date. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the second order of the day is the second reading of an executive bill standing in my name on the 2023 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023 SB 317. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do suspend its Rule 78 sub 1 in order to read the bill a second time. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the relevant rules of the Senate be suspended to allow the Leader of the Senate to read the bill a second time. I so second.
The Senate Leader, you may wish to lead the debate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, it's my pleasure to present the lead debate on a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to the 31st day of March 2024, and for all related matters, 2023 SB 317. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the 2023 Appropriation Act 2023 excuse me. Yeah, thank you. Mr. President, my highly esteemed colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to avoid any form of confusion, I think before I present the lead debate, let me first move for a consolidation of the two bills pending before us as contained in orders, in the second and third orders of the day, which are both of them are similar in that they are seeking to extend the life of both the 2023 Appropriation Bill as well as the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act. And I move that the two bills be so consolidated so that I can present a joint lead debate.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
My distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do consolidate the two bills on the extension of the 2023 Appropriation Act and the Supplementary Appropriation Act. Those in support of the consolidation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the Leader of the Senate, consolidate and present the lead debate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, lead debate on the 2023 Appropriation Act as well as the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023 SB 317 and 318. Mr. President, my highly esteemed colleagues, I thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate on these very important bills, both of which seek to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act to extend the implementation year of the Appropriation Act 2023 from the 31st day of December 2023 to 31st day of March 2024. Both bills were read for the first time today, Thursday, 21st December 2023. As you are aware, prior appropriation acts in the recent past were passed mid-year, and as such, implementation was usually extended to the following year. However, these extensions were usually covered in the Appropriation Act by a clause along the following line. In line with the provisions of Section 318 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this Act runs for a period of 12 months, starting from the date it comes into effect. On the contrary, the 2023 Appropriation Act clause states that in line with the provisions of Section 318 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this Act runs for a period of 12 months, starting from the first day of January to 31st day of December 2023. The 2023 Appropriation Supplementary Budget, recently passed by the National Assembly, as well as the recent 2023 capital releases to MDAs, are unlikely to be utilized before 31st December 2023 due to late releases of the fund, which will lapse if the capital implementation is not extended beyond the 31st day of December 2023. In view of the critical importance of some key projects nearing completion, it is expedient to grant extension of the expiration clause to avoid compounding the problems of abandoned projects, given that some of the projects were not provided for in the 2024 budget. Hence, the need to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024 of both acts. I therefore, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, urge this Senate to give its full support to these bills to allow full utilization of the capital releases in order to help reflate the economy, while I move that the two bills be referred to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, the leader. This looks very straightforward. And so is it the view of the Senate that these bills be read for a second time? Those who support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024, and for related matters 2023. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024, and for related matters 2023. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st day of December 2023 to 31st day of March 2024, and for related matters 2023. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act in order to allow the extension of the implementation from 31st day of December 2023 to 31st day of March 2024, and for related matters therewith, 2023. Second reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I first come under Order 8 sub 3 of our rules to move for an extension of time to enable the Senate seat beyond 2 p.m. for us to conclude on the items on our order paper. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, the Senate colleagues, I second the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
The Senate colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this hallowed chamber do extend its time of sitting beyond 2 p.m. Those in support of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, in compliance with Senate Rule 80 of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended, I now move that the Senate do resolve into the Committee of Supply for the clause-by-clause consideration of the bills. And for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I also refer to the two bills that were consolidated for the purpose of second reading. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve into the Committee of Supply to consider the bill clause by clause. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the consolidated bills having passed through second reading now be referred to the Committee of Supply for clause-by-clause consideration. Those who are in support of this consolidated bill going for clause-by-clause consideration, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, clause 1, those in support of clause 1 say aye. Clause 2, those in support of clause 2 say aye. Explanatory memorandum, those in support of it being retained say aye. On the second one, an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from December 2023 to 31st March 2024, and for related matters therewith. The 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act 2023 is hereby amended as set out hereunder. The expiration words in the long title is hereby amended by deleting the words 31st December 2023 and substituting the words 31st March 2024. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This bill may be cited as the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2023. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the first bill seeks to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year of the 2023 appropriation from 31st day of December to 31st day of March 2024. Those in support of this amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished colleagues, I stand to move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that Mr. President, sitting as chair, reverts to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those who are in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of Supply, considered the reports of the bills for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Supplementary Act and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of Supply? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do suspend its Rule 78 sub 1 in order to read the bill for a third time. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I second the motion as ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
What was the motion? Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved by the leader that the two bills be now read for a third time. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024, and for related matters 2023, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st December 2023 to 31st March 2024, and for related matters 2023, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st day of December 2023 to 31st day of March 2024, and for related matters, third reading. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st day of March to 31st day of March 2024, and for related matters therewith. Third reading, taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st day of December 2023 to 31st day of March 2024, and for related matters therewith. Third reading taken and passed. Leader of the Senate. The mood of the Senate.
You know, I was before you, I approached the chair, and you promised to take this confirmation of this Lagos woman who has been actually screened for the last 2 months, pending. It's just one prayer confirmation. I crave the indulgence of the chair, and of course the permission of the larger Senate to allow the confirmation of this diligent woman to take place now, sir.
You so move. Any seconder? This is Senator Kawu.
Mr. President, my dear distinguished colleagues, I am Suleiman Abdurrahman Kawu Sumaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District from Kano. I am here to second the motion or the request to revert to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report of the Committee of the Population for the appointment of a Federal Commissioner from Lagos. I so second, Mr. President.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleague.
Sorry. You know, a motion has been moved and seconded that we do take the report on the National Population Commission in respect of the nominee from Lagos State who was replaced about 2 months ago. Those in support that we do take this report say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So, Senator Ningi, you may wish to lay the report. Yes, so proceed to summarize.
But let me summarize it again. I led the report yesterday, and upon the receipt of the letter from the Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Forces on the nomination of Saidat Olainka, the Senate sent a referral to the Committee of Population and National Identity Card, and the committee invited the nominee and shall screen diligently thereafter. On the screening, we have found the nominee very eligible. She has 2 degrees, one BA degree in history, the other degree LLB in law. She's physically fit, and she has undergone a lot of courses, a lot of training. She's a thoroughbred civil servant, and I believe this will do her a very good and nice job as a population commissioner in Lagos. The committee therefore recommends that Mrs. Olainka Saidat, having found her suitable for the appointment, and hereby recommend her for confirmation as Commissioner for the National Population Commission, NPC, representing Lagos State. That the Senate do therefore confirm the nomination of Saidat Olainka as Commissioner of National Population Commission, NPC. I so move. We will back to the Committee of the Whole. Leader. Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Leader of the Senate, you may wish to move that this Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report.
Mr. Senate President,
I wish to move that we resolve into committee of whole to be able to consider the report. I so move.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate resolved into committee of the whole to consider the report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do resolve into committee of the whole to consider the report. Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we now move into committee of the whole. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Mrs. Oladunoye Sadat Olayinka for appointment as Commissioner representing Lagos State in the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Student leader.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished senators, I stand to move that the Senate revert to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I second the motion that the chairman, the Senate do revert to plenary for the chairman to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleague, the motion has been moved and seconded that this hallowed chamber do revert to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and Population, the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as Commissioner for the National Population Commission, and approved the nomination of Mrs. Oladunoye Sadat Olayinka as Commissioner for the National Population Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mrs. Oladunoye Sadat Olayinka for appointment as Commissioner representing Lagos State in the National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mrs. Oladunoye Sadat Olayinka is hereby confirmed as a Commissioner representing Lagos State in the National Population Commission. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on ICT and Cyber Security and National Security and Intelligence on the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2015 Amendment Bill 2023, SB 188. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 25th October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Salisu Shuaib Afolabi, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Minority Leader. Approach the chair. Minority Leader. You second the motion. Assembly moved by the leader. On ICT.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Leader of the Senate that the report of the Cyber Security and National Security Intelligence be laid. I so second.
Well, distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate do receive the report on cyber security and national intelligence. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those who are against it say the ayes have it. The distinguished Senator Shehu, you may stand up to proceed to lay your report. SARS.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, with the leave of the President and the Senate, I now proceed to present the report of the Joint Committee on ICT and Cyber Security and National Security and Intelligence. Mr. President, may I proceed, sir?
Please proceed.
This report on behalf of my distinguished colleagues in the two Senate committees on ICT and cyber security, as well as the Committee on National Security and Intelligence. You will please recall that at the sitting of the Senate on Wednesday, 25th day of October 2023, the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2015 Amendment Bill was read for the second time and referred to the Joint Committee of ICT and Cyber Security and National Security and Intelligence. Subsequent to this, Mr. President, a public hearing was held on Wednesday, 22nd day of November 2023, and at this point in time, I convey profound appreciation of the Joint Committee to the President of the Senate, ably represented by the Senate Leader, distinguished Senator Kwame Bamdele Siwen, for declaring the public hearing open. At the public hearing and before then, we received memoranda and submissions from over 20 stakeholders, ranging from the Federal Ministry of Justice, Nigeria Computer Society, Office of National Security Advisors, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and a host of other stakeholders who made recommendations and appearances before the public hearing. The details of their submissions are contained in the report. I will therefore not bore you with going through those details. However, I would like to proceed to read the observations and recommendations of the Joint Committee. As you are all aware, the Principal Act was enacted in 2015, about 8 years ago. Between then and now, a number of developments have taken place. I'm waiting for my leader. I'm waiting for my leaders.
Address the chair, please.
As you are aware, the Principal Act was enacted in 2015, about 8 years ago. Between them and now, a number of developments have taken place in the ICT sector, particularly in terms of technology advancement, as well as the digital economy as a whole. Therefore, I go to recommendations that will be found on page 21, 22, and I'll read a recommendation. The Joint Committee observed that the Cybercrime Act 2015 has a few challenges, ranging from the vagueness, ambiguities, repetitions, and complexities in its wordings. It's also behind in terms of present-day cybersecurity challenges, and one major issue that we have also found is inadequate funding. Cyber threat is more potent than threats on the terrestrial planes, whereas other areas of our security, they receive adequate funding. The one that's more potent, more difficult to track, the cyber security does not enjoy the kind of funding that is required, particularly given the increasing threat to cyber security to our nation. Consequently, it has strict national cyber security protection and cybercrime prevention efforts. To keep it in the current form is to defeat the nation's digital economic development. We therefore recommend the following actions. First, we recommend that the long title of the Act should be modified where you have prohibition repeated. One should be prohibition and the other one replaced with prevention. We also noticed that there were also challenges in areas, ambiguity in terms of the funding. We have corrected this and we have reduced it to 0.5% rather than what was there before, 0.0005. Some of the suggestions as well was that rather than limit this to financial organizations, we have broadened the scope to private and public organizations. I proceed, therefore, to read the recommendations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you have the report with you, and you also have the suggestions. Our committees are concerned that you cannot have a digital economy if you cannot guarantee cyber security. You cannot hope to reap the full benefit of the digital society if people cannot be guaranteed of their security and safety in the cyberspace. It is therefore our recommendation and plea to our colleagues that you should please join us to approve and pass this amendment to Cybersecurity Act of 2015. Will the current effort solve all of the problems? Our response is no. Will this amendment prevent further amendment, particularly in the wake of developments in technology? We also do not think so. However, we do believe that this amendment provides broad-based lines to tackle the challenges that we know and the possible challenges that may come in the near future. It is in this regard that I want to move. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having taken into consideration the observations and comments of relevant stakeholders, as well as opinions of distinguished senators during the second reading and the public hearing on various provisions of the bill, and having made amendments as necessary, the Joint Committee of the Senate, the Committee on ICT and Cyber Security, which I chair, and the Committee on National Security and Intelligence, ably chaired by my brother, distinguished Senator Shehu Babawuma, I therefore like to move as follows: that the Senate Joint Committee on ICT and Cyber Security and National Security and Intelligence, which the bill was referred to, that's a bill to amend the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2015, SB 188, having considered same, report favorably thereon and recommend that the Senate do pass the bill as amended. Mr. President, distinguished Senator, I so move.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Is there anyone that wants to say something about the report? If there's none, we then move to the Committee of Whole to consider clause by clause parts of the bill. Is there anyone? No comment. The leader? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the Senate resolve to a Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I second the motion that the Senate do resolve to a Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 1 stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 17, those in favor say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21, those in favor say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 22, Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 24. Those in favor say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 27. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 30, 37, 38, 41. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 44, 46, and 48. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against say nay. Explanatory memorandum. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Long title. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished senators, I move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. My distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity and National Security and Intelligence on the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2015, Amendment Bill 2023, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, number of clauses. Clause 1 as recommended, Clause 17 as recommended, Clause 21 as recommended, Clause 22 as recommended, Clause 24 as recommended, Clause 27 as recommended, Clause 30 as recommended, Clause 37 as recommended, Clause 38 as recommended, Clause 41 as recommended, Clause 44 as recommended, Clause 46 as recommended, Clause 48 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Distinguished senators, is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate Leader. Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Madam Leader.
I second the motion moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
The clerk. Okay. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Cybercrime Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act 2015 and for other related matters thereto 2023, third reading.
Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2015 Amendment Bill 2023, third reading taken and passed. The Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished, in view of the ongoing sessions being held by the Senate Committee on Appropriation and the involvement of not only distinguished members of the committee, but distinguished senators who are chairmen of other committees working as chairman of appropriation subcommittees, may I move that we suspend the other items on our order paper to enable us adjourn for today, while other items come on another legislative day. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader that other items on the order paper today be suspended to enable members attend to committee works on the current budget. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion moved by the Leader and second by the Leader, please say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And please, before we adjourn, we still want to call on subcommittees of appropriations that are here to submit their reports to the appropriation committee. Should please do that immediately. That said, the Senate is hereby adjourned to Friday, the 29th day of December by 10 a.m. prompt. The Senate stands adjourned. Let me repeat that again. The Senate stands adjourned till Friday, 29th day of December 2023 by 10 a.m. prompt.